The rain fell hard on the quiet human neighborhood, the kind of rain that made the world feel cold and lonely. Darin walked slowly down the cracked sidewalk after another long shift, his boots heavy with mud and his clothes soaked with water. His mind was tired, and he only wanted to go home, warm up, and sleep. But that night, something different waited for him in the shadows. A small sound reached his ears, a soft crying, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Darin stopped walking. His instincts woke up. He looked around, the street empty, the lamps flickering weak yellow light. The sound came again, this time clearer, a young voice shaking with fear. Darin followed the sound until he saw a tiny shape standing alone under an old street lamp. At first he thought it was a human child, lost and cold, but when he came closer, his heart stopped for a moment. It was not a human child at all. It was an alien girl. She had blue skin, soaking wet from the rain. Her long dark blue hair clung to her face, her small pointed ears trembling from the cold. She wore a thin, torn dress, far too old and damaged for someone her age. Her feet were bare, and she hugged a small cloth doll that looked like it had been ripped many times. She did not look dangerous. She looked frightened, fragile, and completely alone. Darin slowly knelt down, keeping his voice gentle. "Hey, are you all right?" he asked softly. The girl lifted her head. Her big glowing eyes held fear, but also hope. "Please, please don't hurt me," she whispered, her voice tiny under the heavy rain. "I'm not going to hurt you," Darin said. "I promise." The girl's lips trembled. She took a small step toward him. I have nowhere to go," she said. "Stepmother threw me out. She said I am useless." Her voice broke as tears mixed with the rain on her face. Darin felt something move in his chest, a protective feeling he had not felt in years. This child was shivering, starving, and terrified, and the idea of someone throwing her out like trash made him angry inside. But he kept his voice calm. "What's your name?" The girl looked down before answering. "Sira. That's a beautiful name," Darin said kindly. "Come on, Sira. Let's get you somewhere warm." Sira hesitated for a moment, then slowly reached out her small hand. Darin gently took it. Her fingers were ice cold. Together they walked toward his house, the rain still falling around them, under Darin's porch light. Sira looked even smaller. Her dress was soaked, her hair dripping water onto the floor. She stood awkwardly, as if she did not know if she was allowed to be here. Darin opened the door, warm yellow light spilling out. "It's okay," he said. "You can come in." Sira stepped inside carefully, almost as if she thought the ground would break under her feet. She looked around the small living room, amazed by the simple things humans called home. A sofa, a lamp, a table. Everything looked safe to her, almost magical. Darin brought her a towel and wrapped it around her shoulders. She held it tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, as if thanking him was dangerous. "Are you hurt?" Darin asked gently. Sira shook her head, but when she moved, the sleeve of her dress slipped down a little, revealing dark bruises on her arm. Darin's jaw tightened. "Who did that to you?" he asked, trying to stay calm. "My stepmother," Sira said in a soft, empty voice. "She said I am too slow, too weak, too different." She looked at him, her eyes shining in the warm light. "But I can be good. I promise I can be good." Darin felt his chest tighten with sadness. "No child should have to say those words, Sira," he said softly. "You don't have to prove anything to me." But she shook her head. "Please, please be my father," she whispered, hugging the doll closer to her chest. "I will not misbehave. I will be good every day." Her voice cracked with desperation. "Please don't send me away." Those words hit Darin harder than any punch ever had. He looked at the small alien girl standing in his home, scared, hungry, bruised, and begging for something she should have already had: a safe place, someone to care about her, someone to protect her. Before he could answer, a sudden loud sound echoed outside. Sierra jumped and hid behind him, trembling all over. Darin turned his head sharply toward the window. Something, or someone, was out there. He stepped closer to the window, lifting the curtain just a little. At the far end of the street, two dark shapes moved slowly through the rain, their silhouettes tall and strange, and one of them carried a glowing scanner device that swept across the neighborhood like a beam searching for something. Sierra grabbed Darin's shirt from behind, her voice shaking. "They are looking for me," she whispered. "Please, please don't let them take me." Darin looked at her shaking hands, at her small body trying to hide behind him. And in that moment, he knew he could not let anyone harm her. "Not tonight, not ever. Don't worry," he said, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. "You're safe here. Outside?" The shadows moved closer through the rain. Inside, the bond between a human and a lost alien child quietly began to form, stronger than either of them understood. Darin closed the curtain slowly, trying not to make any noise. The rain outside kept falling in a steady rhythm, but now every drop sounded louder, heavier, as if warning him that something dangerous was getting closer. Sierra stayed behind him, holding the edge of his shirt tightly, her small fingers shaking. He turned toward her and forced a calm smile. "It's all right, Sierra. They are far away," he said gently. Sierra nodded, but fear still filled her eyes. She looked around the warm living room again, her gaze moving over the soft couch, the lamp, and the small heater in the corner. Everything here looked safer than anything she had known before. Darin walked to the kitchen and opened a cabinet. "Are you hungry?" he asked. Sierra didn't speak. She only lowered her head slowly, as if afraid that admitting her hunger would make him angry. Darin picked up a bowl of leftover soup he had made earlier, warmed it on the stove, and placed it in front of her. "It's okay, eat," he said softly. Sierra touched the bowl carefully, as if she wasn't sure she was allowed to have it. Then she began eating, not fast, but in small, careful bites. Darin noticed she was trying hard not to look greedy, trying not to make noise, as if someone had punished her before for eating too quickly. His heart tightened again. What kind of life had she lived, that even food frightened her after a few minutes? Sierra stopped and looked up nervously. Is it okay if I finish it?" she whispered. Darin sat down across from her. "You can have as much as you want," he said. "You're safe here, Sierra. No one is going to shout at you." Her hands paused, then shook a little before she continued eating, this time a bit faster, as if her body finally understood it would not be punished for wanting food. When she finished, she held the bowl close to her chest. "Thank you," she said in a small voice. "No one ever gave me warm food before," Darin sighed quietly, trying not to show his anger. He didn't want to scare her. "You can always eat here," he said. "My house is open to you." Sierra looked around again, her eyes softening. "Your house is warm," she whispered. "My stepmother's house was always cold." She touched the heater with the back of her hand, surprised by the comfort it gave. "I like this place. You can stay tonight," Darin said. "I'll keep you safe." At those words, Sierra froze. Her breath hitched as if she had heard something unbelievable. "Stay. Here?" she repeated slowly. "Can I really?" Darin nodded. "Yes, you can." Sierra's eyes welled with tears. She hugged her small cloth doll tightly. "I never had a place like this," she said. "Stepmother always told me I was trouble, that I didn't deserve a home." She paused, then whispered, "But I will be good here, I promise. I won't break anything. I won't make noise." Darin shook his head gently. "You don't have to promise anything like that," he said. "You deserve safety, with or without rules," Sira blinked. Confused, she wasn't used to kindness. She wasn't used to someone caring about her without wanting something in return. The idea felt strange, almost unreal. She looked at Darin again, as if trying to understand him. "Why are you helping me?" she asked quietly. Darin hesitated. He hadn't planned to help an alien child. In fact, he had planned to avoid trouble and stay alone. But something about her fear, her loneliness, her desperate eyes pulled him in. "Because no child should be out in the rain," he finally said. "And because someone should have helped you long ago." Sira nodded slowly. She didn't fully understand. But she accepted it. For now, this was enough. She looked toward the window again, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Will they come back?" she asked the men outside. "They were looking for me." Darin leaned forward. "Why are they looking for you, Sira?" He asked. "Did something happen?" Sira hugged her doll again. "I don't know everything," she said, "but I heard my stepmother talking. She said people want me because of my father." "Your father?" Darin repeated. Sira nodded. "He was someone important." "I think, but I never met him. Stepmother said he left something behind, something big. And she said those men want me because I have his blood." She looked afraid again. "I don't want to go with them." Darin placed a hand gently on her small shoulder. "You don't have to go anywhere," he said. "You're safe here tonight." Sira took a small, shaky breath, then slowly relaxed. For the first time since she arrived, her shoulders dropped and her eyes softened. She looked like a child again, not a hunted target. Darin stood up. "Come on, let's get you some dry clothes," he said. Sira followed him quietly to the hallway, where he found an old soft sweater that belonged to someone he once loved. He paused for a moment, remembering, then handed it to Sira. It was far too big for her, but she held it with both hands, like it was treasure. She put it on, and it almost reached her knees, but she smiled, a small, soft smile that warmed the whole room. "It's warm," she said. "I like it," Darin smiled back. "Good," he said. "You can sleep on the couch tonight." Sira looked at the couch, her eyes wide. "I never had a bed before," she whispered. "Is it really for me?" "Yes," Darin said. "It's for you." Sira climbed onto the couch slowly, gently. As if she thought it might disappear, she curled up under the blanket he gave her. Holding her doll close, "Thank you, Darin," she whispered sleepily. Darin stood nearby, watching her settle down. For the first time in a long time, his small home felt full, alive, meaningful. But outside, the rain kept falling, and the shadows moved again. The danger was not gone. It was getting closer, step by step. Searching for the lost child now sleeping in his home, the night grew darker as the rain slowed down, but the fear in the air only grew stronger. Darin sat on a chair near the couch where Sira slept, watching her small form curl peacefully under the blanket. For the first time since he found her, she looked safe. She looked like a child who had finally closed her eyes without fear. But Darin could not relax. His mind stayed awake, and his ears listened to every sound outside the house. Every drip of rain, every rustle of leaves, every distant car passing by. Something felt wrong. Something felt close. He checked the window again. The street was almost empty, but the silence felt heavy, too heavy. He remembered the tall, shadowy figures he saw earlier, and the glowing scanner they carried. They were looking for something. No someone. They were looking for Sira. Suddenly, a sharp metallic sound echoed from somewhere outside. Like armor brushing against metal, Darin stiffened. He moved quickly to the window and peeked through the curtains just a little. His heart tightened. They were back. Two tall alien hunters walked slowly down the street. Their armor was black and silver, shining under the street lamps. Their helmets covered their faces completely, making them look more like machines than living beings. One of them held a scanning device again, its glowing blue light sweeping from house to house like a silent predator searching for prey. Sierra sensed something even in her sleep. She turned restlessly, her fingers gripping her cloth doll tighter. A soft whimper escaped her lips. Darin walked over to her and gently shook her shoulder. "Sierra," he whispered, "wake up." Her eyes snapped open instantly. As if she had been trained to wake at the slightest sign of danger, she sat up quickly, fear already rising in her voice. "Are they here?" she whispered. Darin nodded slowly. "I think so," he said. "They're close." Sierra hugged her doll to her chest, her whole body shaking. "Please don't let them take me," she begged quietly. "They will hurt me. They want to sell me. They want to use me." Darin knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders gently but firmly. "Sierra, listen to me," he said in a calm, low voice. "I will not give you to them. I promise." Tears filled her eyes, but she nodded, trusting him completely. The scanner outside grew brighter as it approached their house. The hunters walked slowly, carefully, as if they could smell fear inside the walls. Darin's heart pounded harder. He needed a plan. He needed to protect her. But how? He had no weapons, no armor, and no idea how strong these aliens were. But he was human, and humans survived by thinking, not by being stronger. Darin turned off the lights inside the living room. The darkness gave them cover. Sierra crawled off the couch and hid next to him, her small hands gripping his arm. The scanner light shone directly at his window now. Bright blue light flooded the curtains, illuminating the room in a ghostly glow. Darin held his breath. Sierra pressed her face into his side, trying not to cry. Outside, one of the hunters spoke in a deep mechanical voice. "Life signature detected," the second one replied. "We scan again. The child must be here." The child? Not the target. Not the fugitive. They called her the child. That meant they knew exactly who they were looking for. Darin pulled Sierra closer. "Stay quiet," he whispered. No matter what happens, the hunters moved closer to the front door. Their armored footsteps echoed on the concrete porch. Slow and heavy, Darin felt the vibration through the floor. He reached behind the couch and grabbed an old metal bar he kept from a past repair job. It was not a weapon, but it was better than nothing. A sudden loud knock boomed through the house, making Sierra jump. "Open the door," one of the hunters ordered. "We know you are inside." Darin didn't move. He didn't answer. He only breathed slowly, preparing for anything. Another knock came, louder this time, shaking the frame. "Open the door," the voice repeated. "We search for the girl. Give her to us, and no harm comes to you." Sierra shook her head violently, tears streaming down her cheeks. Darin placed a hand gently over her mouth to quiet her sobs. He knew if they heard her, they would break the door in seconds. The hunters waited for a moment, then spoke again. "We will enter by force." Darin tensed, ready to defend her with his life. But then something unexpected happened. A loud siren echoed from a distance. A police patrol car passing through the main street. Human law enforcement. The hunters froze for a moment, confused by the sound. They turned toward each other quickly, speaking in a low alien language. Then, slowly, they stepped back from Darin's porch. Their scanner dimmed, their movements cautious. It seemed they didn't want to attract human attention. After several seconds of tension, the hunters finally walked away, disappearing into the dark street, like shadows dissolving into the night. Darin exhaled deeply, his muscles finally relaxing. Sierra leaned against him, exhausted from fear. "You're safe," he whispered softly. For now, but both of them knew the truth. The hunters would return, and next time, they might not walk away so easily. Next time, they might break the door. Next time, Darin would need more than courage. He would need a plan. He would need answers. and he would need to know the truth about who Sira really was. The house stayed dark long after the hunters left. Darin kept the lights off, afraid they might return if they sensed movement. Sira sat close to him on the couch, still shaking from fear. Her little fingers clung to the sleeve of his shirt, as if letting go would make the world unsafe again. "Are they gone?" she whispered, her voice thin like a breath of wind. "For now," Darin said quietly. "But they'll come back." Sira lowered her head, hugging her cloth doll tightly. "I know," she whispered. "They always come back." Darin looked at her carefully. He needed answers. He needed to understand what he was protecting. "Sira," he said softly, "why are they after you? What do they want?" She didn't answer at first. Instead, she curled her knees closer to her chest. Her eyes stared at the blanket as if she was seeing something far away. "Something painful. You said your father was important," Darin reminded her gently. "Can you tell me more?" Sira swallowed. Then she nodded slowly. "My father. He was a builder," she said. "A smart one, not ships or houses. He built energy. He built light. He made machines that could change empty land into places people could live." Darin listened closely. Her father sounded like a genius, someone scientists would fight over, someone governments would chase. "But," Sira continued, her voice cracking, "he died when I was very young. I don't remember his face. What about your stepmother?" Darin asked. What did she want? Sira's hands tightened around her doll. The memory clearly hurt her. "She hated me," she said quietly. "She said I look like him, that I am a reminder of him." She paused, then added in a small voice, "She said I am only useful because I have his blood." Darin felt anger rise inside him again. No child should ever hear something like that. "What does that mean?" He asked gently, "Why would your blood matter?" Sira took a shaky breath. "My father created something before he died." "A core," she said. "A very strong energy core. Something that can power whole cities, or weapons, or ships." She hesitated. "He locked it. He made it so that it could only be opened by someone with his blood." Darin froze. The pieces connected immediately. The hunters, the bruises, the abandonment. Everything suddenly made sense. Sira wasn't just a child being mistreated. She was a key to something very valuable. "And your stepmother wanted to give you to someone?" Darin asked quietly. Sira nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. "She made a deal," she whispered. "She said she would give them the blood key if they paid her." She hugged her doll closer. "She meant me." Darin clenched his jaw. He couldn't hide the anger anymore. How could anyone treat a child like an object, a tool, a price? "So those hunters?" he asked carefully. "They work for the people your stepmother made a deal with?" Sira nodded again. "They came many times," she said. "Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they broke things. Sometimes my stepmother hid me, but they always knew I was somewhere inside the house." She looked up at Darin with wide, sad eyes. "Then last night she unlocked the back door and told me to leave." Darin felt a chill. "She sent you out alone?" Sira's voice cracked. "She said she didn't want trouble," she whispered. "She said they would come tomorrow, so she told me to go far away and not come back." Darin felt sick inside. The stepmother didn't save Sira. She simply pushed the problem outside so she wouldn't get caught in the crossfire. She didn't want the child. She wanted to survive. Sira looked down, her voice trembling. "I walked in the rain until I couldn't feel my feet. I tried to hide under a tree, but it was too cold. Then I saw your light." She lifted her eyes slowly to his. "I thought humans were kind. I heard stories that humans help children. So I went to you." Darin felt something warm in his chest, something almost painful. "You did the right thing," he said softly. "You're safe here.